there's different centers in human design. There's 9 centers. They all have kind of a different function, a different category, a different language that goes along with it, but they're all connected in different ways, uniquely connected for each one of us. So we don't all have them in the same way. But there's in those 9 centers, there's 3 that are called your awareness centers, where you can consciously become more aware of whether it's your anxiety or your fear or emotions. I think of it as your mental state, your emotional state, and then more of like your physical state, like aches and pains, think
Okay.
health and stuff. Within each of those, there's also strengths in there. And besides, I don't think anybody has your answers. I always feel like the first thing we start off with, anytime we're looking to achieve something, to do something, to move into something, what are your strengths? Let's take account for that and let's start with those, which is the opposite of when we were a kid. Because when you're a kid, they're looking to grow you. There's nothing wrong with it, but we somehow get trained in our mind that, oh, that came too easy. Well, I can't use that. I have to build up this other thing that I'm not good at. And doesn't that sound like a lot of business advice sometimes for, especially hustle bro culture? It's, you got to do this, but I'm not good at that. Well, then you're not
Get
going to have a
better.
business.
You may have heard of human design, and you might be thinking, why the heck is a marketing show talking about it? This hippy dippy woo woo business that doesn't belong in business. Well, we're here to set the record straight. That's why we have Tricia here today. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself, why this topic matters to her, and why it should absolutely matter to you and your business. Tricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I really, I'm excited to be here and to talk to you about something that I feel so deeply passionate about, and that is human design. It's all come to me from when I first started my own entrepreneurial journey, my second one, my one in my 50s. And this is my 15-year vision. This is a big vision that I have that I'm moving towards. And the thing that happened when I came here, because it was different than the last time I was an entrepreneur in 2001, that I all of a sudden had to fit into all these systems to make social media work, to do all the things. I felt like I had to relearn business, and I lost myself in the process. And no more. That did not work for me. And so now I've met so many other people who have had a very similar experience. And so for the past year, it has been a journey of, how do I do this my way? And that's what I help other people do. How do they do it their way? And I just happen to use human design as a tool so that we can learn more about ourselves.
This is obviously something true to my heart, regardless of whether we're talking human design or astrology. I don't really care, honestly, which one. I my background in psychology. I'm up for any of these different types of, what is the ENJ something or others and this and that. Yeah, cool, awesome. You get to know yourself better, and it doesn't matter what tool you use to get there. And human design is just that. It's a tool. It's a tool for better self-understanding. And the particular thing that you mentioned that I thought was not only true to my heart, but I think will really get others to resonate with the idea of human design is this idea of like doing things in your own way, doing hard things own way. Because running a business, marketing a business, showing up for yourself, it's not easy. But it becomes easy, gets to be easy when you lean into your fullest self, when you start to understand yourself better. So I guess the next question really is like, how do you do that? How do you really, pardon me, uncover that human design and what it means for you? Like, what are the different? Let's start with, I don't know anything. Where do I start?
Well, first, I want to share a big, deep philosophy that I have, that I believe no one has your answers. No one can tell you anything, what you're supposed to do, who you are, or anything. And I think human design is not excluded from that. I know that there might be some people who promote it as it'll tell you who you are. I don't believe in that. Um, it is based off of your birth date. So, how accurate is that? I don't know, but it's amazing the experiences people have. I've had and other people. I just got a whole bunch of messages earlier in the week about, oh my gosh, you blew my mind. I totally saw myself. It's not that it gave the answers, it gave an experience so you could find the answers within you. And I'm a firm believer that we find our answers through experience. And that's what I do. I create experiences so you can see yourself and find your way of doing things and building that confidence within you, that self-trust, that knowing. Then even if you go work with somebody and they have a program, you're no longer fitting into the program. You are you, and the program fits around you. So you can pick and choose the parts that really fit you. And that is not my approach. How when I first started doing this at a couple years ago, almost 3 years ago, when I started my entrepreneurial journey again, no, I just was like, oh, tell me exactly what to do, and I'm going to follow it to the T because I'm a high achieving woman. Like I've always been that. So I will get my A++. I will do it exactly the way you
And
say
I
it.
can't relate. Right. Most of the people who are joining us for this conversation are like, yeah, I know. I see myself here. Totally. Right. Like we want to achieve more than we've ever achieved before in whatever path that exists in, whether that is, good grades, or whether that looks like achieving a certain financial goal or a certain lifestyle goal or whatever. We are those people. We are highly ambitious. We want to make shit happen. But you're saying that a light switch changed all that when it comes to human design.
Because I think a lot of us, and I'm 54, and so a lot of us, when we get to a certain point in our life, we're like, this is my last chapter or my last, for me, like I said, it's my 15-year devoted vision that I'm building. And I'm doing it my way. I've lived enough life of fitting into everybody else's thing. I want it to be my way now. Instead of building for others, I'm building for myself. And human design helps you see those little pieces of yourself. And what I love about it, as a person who struggled for years thinking I can't communicate properly, that people don't understand me unless I sketch it out. I'm much more of a visual, come from creative artist designer background. So I can sketch out, I can, visually communicate, but through words, that was always a bit of a challenge. And what human design did was it gave me not only language to the different kinds of, I will just say, energies, ways that we feel, it categorized them, it systematized them. I could understand it then, like, what's the difference between when I have a sensation or a sense that's more around fear versus when I have a sensation that's around feeling a feeling of some sort, like I might be doubting myself. It gives me language and containers that I can work in. And that's helped me to see myself in such a clear way that I have no other modality, system, anything else has come close to. Well, I still use a lot of other ones. This is the one that helps me to really fully understand.
I find that human design is multidimensional. I find that it really touches a lot of different modalities and ways of expression. And I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, decree myself to be at all knowledgeable about human design. We discussed this briefly before I pressed record, but like I did my human design a number of years ago and have researched my human design line by line. What does this mean? What does this mean? So, surface level of who I am. So let's kind of look at this from a perspective of, first of all, what you just described. What does that mean? Like, what does that look like in action? Let's start with the bare bone basics of what are the designs and what is yours, and so therefore, what did it look like when you were in a state, in a position of fear or other emotions, and how you used your design to help you move forward? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love this because, we were talking and I had mentioned about how my first experience was like, a wonderful party game that I got my design and I was like, oh, it's so me. I resonate. I saw me. Like, it felt so good. And then I was like, what the heck do I do with it after that? And I didn't.
Feel like, sorry, but I feel like this is like when you're a teenager and you discover astrology and you're like, I'm a Gemini. Like, this is like, that's that sensation, right? Like, oh my God, it's so me. Now, I was never that girl, but I was the person who was like, dang, this is pretty good. So yeah.
Yes, I totally think that that's what it was. I mean, I got my first human design report on a day that I was supposed to be doing work, and I didn't. I spent all day diving in,
Yeah.
and after that day, it sat in a drawer for 2 years. Didn't do a darn thing with it. Never went back to it. So I'm a firm believer of anything that you pull from your human design is how to think about what we're applying with. And so anything that I do with anybody, I always think about that. I don't need to pull the full design. I'm going to pull some pieces that you can actually see yourself and implement into what you do. And because there's a lot of reports that cover the basic general, they'll tell you, oh, are you a manifestor? Are you manifesting generator? Projector, generator, all those things. Are you a 6-2, a 1-5? And everybody's like, what the heck does that even mean? I don't know where it comes from. What does it mean? And a lot of times there'll be a little paragraph that kind of tells you about that, but it doesn't have any real world application a lot of times. When you've studied human design for an extended period of time, those phrases make sense. Those paragraphs make sense. You see exactly what you can do with them. But if you're just starting, that's hard. And the way that I look at it is I study human design so you don't have to. That's my job. My job is to hand you something on a platter so that you can use it right then and there. So like some of the things that I look for is they are related to some basic things like your type. If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you are wait to respond. And I don't even like how that's phrased. There's some language in human design that also doesn't like, because when people hear wait to respond, well, I'm just going to wait around all day. Like, no. You pause and you make a note. Am I responding to something or am I initiating something? And the goal is to always respond. So it's putting it in a language that we understand in modern day, and that I think as a business owner, I understand then how to use it. So, for example, if I'm going to write a post, I'm a generator. I'm a 6-2 generator with emotional authority. And as a generator, wait to respond. When I write a post, sometimes I write it and then I have to ask myself, am I initiating something here or am I responding to something? And it could be a message. Like I've been talking about for a little bit about the algorithm and how we are the algorithm. The algorithm, it's us, it's inside. This is the algorithm we pay attention to, not the external one. And that's because I saw people complaining about the algorithm and talking about how it's against me, it hates me, and so I'm responding to something versus throwing out something that I don't even know if somebody wants.
Right.
So it's taking those little bits of your design and seeing how you can actually implement into your business. And there's moments where I get stuck. Like I feel like the more you elevate yourself and the more you feel like you're in your consciousness and you're attuned to inward and everything, it doesn't mean that the bad stuff doesn't happen. It completely happens. It's just
Right.
how you engage with it and how you react with it. And there's different centers in human design. There's 9 centers. They all have kind of a different function, a different category, a different language that goes along with it, but they're all connected in different ways, uniquely connected for each one of us. So we don't all have them in the same way. But there's in those 9 centers, there's 3 that are called your awareness centers, where you can consciously become more aware of whether it's your anxiety or your fear or emotions. I think of it as your mental state, your emotional state, and then more of like your physical state, like aches and pains, think
Okay.
health and stuff. Within each of those, you also have strengths. So it's not only what we perceive I feel like a lot of times when we talk about, I got to build my awareness around it, we always talk about something negative that, I got to be aware that I do this. aware that I'm a procrastinator. But there's also strengths in there. And besides, I don't think anybody has your answers. I always feel like the first thing we start off with, anytime we're looking to achieve something, to do something, to move into something, what are your strengths? Let's take account for that and let's start with those, which is the opposite of when we were a kid. Because when you're a kid, they're looking to grow you. There's nothing wrong with it, but we somehow get trained in our mind that, oh, that came too easy. Well, I can't use that. I have to build up this other thing that I'm not good at. And doesn't that sound like a lot of business advice sometimes for, especially hustle bro culture? It's, you got to do this, but I'm not good at that. Well, then you're not going to have a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, no, this is great. And without going into those details too thoroughly, because I feel like even just for myself, I'm thinking about this, and I know about the different centers. I know vaguely what each of them kind of sort of do. I know that I'm a triple split, which for anybody watching who doesn't know is kind of rare and means that I'm weird. And nobody's surprised. Nobody get it. Don't worry about it. I want to actually kind of rewind the clock a little bit about you said, so I have all of the opinions about the algorithm. Maybe I'll dive into it a little bit, but for now, I think what I'd like to do is ask you, for you said you're a generator, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a generator, you practice the pause and ask if you're responding. Can you give me an example for the other designs? I'm a manifester. So what would my aligned direction, or not direction, behavior be in that space of creating a post and putting it out into the world?
I love this question. I have a lot of manifestors in my life, and
I'm excited.
there's something really cool about a manifestor. It is about, you are here to initiate. It's about initiating something and then getting out of it, letting other people build it, let other people carry with it, not give them everything. So one of my business coach, he is a manifester. And at one point, this is before I did his human design. I was focusing just on mine. But I was like, hey, I know you give me all these ideas and then you want to help me build them. And sometimes you even do a little bit for me. I don't want you to do that. I want you to give me the idea. I need the input. I'm here for that, but I'm the one who plays and builds with my own things. And there's a couple things in my design, not just because I'm a generator, that points to that. And he talked about how he would get so burned out from trying to help everybody build them. I'm like, no, you just give the ideas. Give the ideas, initiate it, show us the way forward, point us in a direction so that we can then build on that. But there is one thing, just like how the generator is here to respond. So you have to pause to make sure that you're not initiating. The thing with a manifestor, it's really good to inform beforehand, before you make moves. You are here to initiate and go forward, but sometimes just in like a normal relationship, let's say you with clients, you can initiate and they're gonna be on board, but it always comes across better if you give them a heads up. Hey, I'm gonna be doing this, as opposed to just moving forward with it. So giving that heads up is always the key for the manifester. So even in your copywriting, yeah, you can initiate an idea, but you can also give like, hey, I'm gonna give you a little thing here. Give that little bit of, just a little bit of warning, a little bit of cushion.
I feel like that makes sense, because if you just initiate without giving that forewarning, then you're almost forced into a position where you need to continue it, where you need to actually actively be a part of it. And you're saying that that's not necessarily the strength of manifester. Okay, let's rewind once more, maybe twice more. How many? There are 4 designs.
There's
Generally speaking.
Yeah, there's the advisor and the projector.
Right.
And then there is the generator, the manifesting generator, and then the manifester. So there's 4 categories, but that's because the manifesting generator and generator are kind of lumped into one category because they're both wait to respond. But the manifesting generator has a little bit of manifesting and a lot of generator. So they're
Right.
kind of like the bridge.
So what would it look like, just for the sake of everyone kind of getting to dip their toes in their water for creating the post? Because I think this is a really important space to occupy, especially in the world of marketing, because we're all here. We want to market. We're going to make the post. You have to make the post, right? We have to be visible. You're a projector making the post. What is the thought process?
The projector's job is to my mom's a projector, and I just did a report for somebody who's a projector too. Their job is to be known, to be seen and to be known, to build a reputation for being known for something.
The
Because
influencer.
yeah, so their thing is they have to wait for the invitation. They have to wait to be recognized. That doesn't, again, waiting doesn't sound like I'm going to wait around till somebody says, "Hey, you want a job?" It's not that. But the best thing that a projector can do is go all in and not expect clients necessarily from their content. I think that's also a misunderstanding where a lot of people think if I post every day, I'm going to get a client, and that doesn't work like
Yes,
that.
I have so much. Okay, just to let you all know, I have a bunch of content about that. I just wrote a whole bunch of it, and it's all about the build it and they will come kind of mentality, about building your offer and just poof, people will come. False. Advertising, like even if you build it and you put a sign up, that doesn't mean they will come. There's so much more to marketing than that. We'll save that for another day. But yes.
Completely. But the best thing that a projector can do is just be known, be seen, be in public. And maybe that frightens some people when they're thinking about social media, but my mother had her own business that's still around today that she really built up, and she's a projector. She just it's a knitting business. And what she did was she traveled the country and went to seminars and she was visible. She didn't go and approach people to sell them things. People came to her, but it's because she was there. She had to be visible, and she showed what she was doing, and she didn't have to like come and be in your face to do it. She could just set up her booth, and here I am, and this is what I'm doing, and people would come if they're interested. And that's what a projector does. Be interesting.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Because actually, you know what? Isn't it in oh goodness. Was it in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, where was it that one? Oh, you guys can all correct me if I'm wrong. Where they said, "Oh, somebody who's they're not nobody important. Never met someone who's not important before," or something to that effect, right? Like it's like, yeah, just be yourself. Be
Yep.
yourself wholly and truly, and you will be a magnet. But people find it very challenging to do that. So really, the goal of the projector is to step fully into their authentic power
Hmm.
and show up,
Hmm.
do the work. It's like, and actually you reminded me when you were talking about how, showing up isn't the be all and end all. You have to do some things in the process. I talk about how manifesting is the same way. If you just wish for a mansion, it's not going to fall from the sky. You actually have to do the steps to get there. The wishing or the manifesting just gets you in the right frame of mind to see the opportunities that are in front of you, which is so important to this whole process. Now, we've missed out on one. When we're going to do the post, when we're going to show up in our marketing, what does what's the fourth one?
The advisor.
The advisor, yes.
Advisor or evaluator. There's a couple names for it.
Okay. What do they do when they're showing up?
Well, they have a really interesting design, and it's so open and so receiving of everything. So when you have a design that's open, you take everything in, which is really cool because you can reflect back out everything.
Hmm.
Or if you like for your design and for my design, we're going to have some kind of definition in there. And so some things we receive and some things we project out, some things we broadcast, or is how it's normally labeled in human design. We broadcast out. So this is really about everything that you're taking in, paying really close attention to that, because that becomes what you talk about in your content.
This person sounds like an advocate.
They could be. Yeah, absolutely. They could
Okay.
be.
Can you what else would you kind of throw in, and understanding that we're going to go right back to the beginning and understand that these are not hard fast rules. These are just different ways of better understanding yourself potentially. And if you see yourself in any of these buckets, any of these categories, you can go, huh, and maybe try it out, because maybe you are indeed a generator and you're like, actually I'd rather instigate something. That's okay. Like, that's okay. This might just guide you in how you instigate, maybe. But in particular, just I personally like to have different examples. I like to see what would this look like. So I said advocate, and you said potentially, maybe. What other types of people or ways of showing up would fit into that category? I know I'm making you rack your brain.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. In that particular design, I don't know as many people. I've known people in courses that I've been in, but I don't know personally anybody in real life with it. So it's a little bit more of a rare one. So I may not be the best one to give the full answer for that particular one.
But it's still interesting to know that you would be just the consumer of things with the ability to reflect it back and to perhaps instigate change. Because I feel like, for me, allowing people, well, don't we say that all the time? Somebody hold my mirror up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You need to hear. It's almost like you need to hear your own words sometimes. And that, I guess, would be the power of that person, is to be able to
Yeah.
really create that.
Well, they also there's a thing that we call what your inner authority is. And your authority has to do with how you best make decisions. And there's different kinds. There's ones where you have emotional authority, which I do, which means I ride my wave so that I'm at a settled place before I make a decision. Big decisions, not maybe like what I'm eating for lunch, but bigger decisions, meaning that sometimes I will need to ask several days in a row before I get settled where I get a consistent yes or no. There's some people who have sacral authority, which is kind of like your gut response. Um, it's all kind of intuition to me, but some people call it intuition too. But it's kind of just this response. It's visceral a lot of times. It's like
You can
you pop
feel it
up
in
if
your
it's
whole
yes,
body.
yeah,
Yeah.
or you crunch in like no, I'm gonna crunch fall over. There's also splenic authority, which is it's like instinct, and it comes in once and it doesn't repeat. And so you have to really pay attention for that. I've heard a lot of people talk about that one as an interesting way of like, oh, I saw that glass was close to the edge of the table and I know I should have moved it, but I didn't. I didn't listen to it. It was a nudge, like move that glass, and then I knocked it over.
Right.
And it comes in that kind of quiet way. But then there's this one that's with the advisors, because they don't have any definition, that they follow the cycle of the moon. And so it's a cycle of going through things. And so things really, what happens is you just move at a slower pace. But it doesn't mean that you still can't post every day. If you wanted to post every day, you certainly can. It's just that you're going to take a while before you come to, oh, yes, definitely this. So there's a little bit of allowing for that experimentation to happen over cross time. I also don't move as fast as what you're going to move, because you're a manifester and I'm a generator. I'm waiting to respond. I'm pausing. I'm always pausing. Is this the right thing? Where you get that hit, like, let me tell you what I'm going to do, and then you do it. And so it's a different kind of pacing. And then if you layer on top emotional authority, now I've got a little bit of a longer time period where I'm weighing big decisions. Like, for example, for me and on LinkedIn, I changed my posting time. It took me about a month before I was positive that that's what I wanted to do. So, and I wasn't in a hurry to make the decision either, but I played around with it and I changed it. I changed it because I started tuning into key areas of my design that my emotion center, the solar plexus, is completely lit up. And that is like my driving force. And if you're in my content world, you hear me talk about red frequency, and that's my red frequency. That's where me as a person, my offers, what I'm creating, and my people that I work with, it's where the energy is the brightest in my chart for all of those things to come together. And so I wrap everything into that. And so emotions are a key thing in my life. They always have been. It's funny because I never thought I was emotional, but my sister reminded me this weekend, you've always been emotional.
Don't you love those reminders?
And it kind of makes sense because I've always been a creative person. So, you think about how emotions fuel creativity and everything. But I started paying attention. When am I most creative? What is the time of the day? And when I'm most expressive is in the afternoon. So I stopped posting at that golden LinkedIn hour in the morning, which I think a lot of people have moved away from. But I post in the afternoon because I am more expressive then. That's when my emotions feel the freest to come out and to share things. So you can start picking these little parts, like that's part of my decision making process. So I'm more attuned to things to make decisions in the afternoon than in the morning. Like it kind of, you can start to see where it starts to go into little bits of everything that you do in your business. And so
I love that, because like you soak it in, and like you say, you start with whatever you need now. And because you truly, your human design, I've tried so many times to pick apart mine, like, oh, I'm going to understand this whole thing. There's no way. Like, I can't. I've done little bits by little bits, but every little bit has slightly changed the way I approach things in a way that makes me feel a lot more aligned. And I think that one of the more important things about what you said here is that there is no one right way to do things. That golden hour of posting on LinkedIn or wherever, Meta, wherever you're showing up, it's only golden if you're relying on external influences. But if you are already in alignment, if you have clarified your message and you have a strategy that fits you, you've built your business to support your lifestyle, not the other way around, you become a magnet. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you show up, in such that it matters that you're aligned when you show up.
Mhm.
And these are so important to making sure that your marketing and your branding actually work. Now, that said, I feel like genuinely I could just sit here like a little kid listening to a bedtime story like all day and just like soak it in. However, we do not have all day today. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to take just a moment here to think about one thing, one action item that the people who have joined us for this conversation today can use, can soak in, so that they can move forward in an aligned and tactical, practical way too, regarding human design, their business, and of course their branding and marketing. I'm going to give you a second to think about it. And in that moment, I'm going to remind everybody that conversations just like this happen every single week. So please take a moment, comment, first of all, because I know you have questions. I know I still do. And we will be here to respond to everything. I may not know all the human design questions, but I do have plenty to say about the algorithm. So feel free to ask. And of course, Tricia is going to help us with human design. Press subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell, because if you hit that bell, you're going to know when the next conversation comes out next week. And with that, I'm going to leave you all to everything the amazing Tricia is going to tell you, because trust me, I want to hear it too. Go ahead.
Well, I think the main thing that I want to make sure that everybody hears loud and clear, that no one can tell you who you are. Only you can do that. And the way that you do that is through having experiences of learning about yourself that can help you to see yourself. And that goes with showing up online. I don't think that anyone can tell you exactly how to show up online. They can point you towards a lot of things that help. There are business rules, there are real things that you can do, but there's a way that you can do them in a way that works for you. And so, I do have if you're interested in human design, just a little bit curious, I do have a little mini experience. It's free. And I do a PDF report. You get a Loom video. It'll have some of the things that we talked about today in the report, so that you can experience it for yourself. It's just a tipping point, but it'll be something, get your toes wet.
Oof, love that to bits and pieces. And of course, I'm going to absolutely love the idea that you're going to do the things that are in alignment with you to take steps towards your personal version of success. Because remember, I've spoken about this night and day all the time. Every day, I will just stand on my soapbox and tell you somebody else's version of success might be a penthouse and a Lamborghini. Mine is a spring cottage and a lake and a set of paints that never stops. But maybe somebody else's, I don't know, exactly the life I'm living. You never know. And that's why it's so important that the steps you take to get there are as customized as your personal version of success. And that's why, Tricia, and in fact, I'm going to bring this up again, that's why this is a custom human design experience. It's just for you. So while we just covered at least 4, and we kind of skimmed over the manifesting generator, but we covered these different approaches to posting online and how you show up and become visible based on your design. This experience is customized to you, who you are, and what it means to show up with your unique design. So go ahead, scan the barcode, find the link in the show notes, whichever is the easiest for you, and take advantage of this amazing offer. I might know a little bit about human design, but I think that's my next step too. With that, Tricia, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been an absolutely wonderful experience, and I hope that you all remember to hit the bell and join us for our next chat. We will chat soon. See you later.